Hello friends. For years, seniors across this country have been living inside a system that quietly treats them differently depending on nothing more than their exact age, and for years almost nobody in Ottawa seemed willing to fix it. That is finally starting to change, and today I want to walk you through exactly what is happening, where things actually stand right now, and what it could mean for your monthly deposit if this bill becomes law. I am also going to tell you honestly what has not happened yet, because there is a lot of confusion online right now, and you deserve the real picture, not the exaggerated one. Let me start with the problem this bill is trying to solve, because once you see it laid out plainly, you will understand why so many seniors feel like they have been shortchanged for years. Right now, old age security pays to different rates depending purely on how old you are. If you are between 65 and 74, your maximum monthly payment sits at $743.05. If you are 75 or older, you get $817.36 every single month for the exact same program. That gap exists because back in July of 2022, the government gave a permanent 10% boost to seniors 75 and up, with the reasoning that older seniors face higher health costs and fewer ways to earn extra income. That reasoning made some sense on its own, but it also created something that never existed before in the history of old age security, a program that pays people differently for the same benefit purely based on which side of a birthday they happen to be standing on. Think about two neighbors, both 72 years old, both retired, both living on a fixed income, both facing the same grocery bill and the same rent increase. Under the current system, both of them get the lower rate, while a 75-year-old down the street, who might be in better health and still working part-time, collects nearly $900 more a year for doing nothing differently at all. That is the exact unfairness that Bill C-261 is trying to close. Now let me tell you exactly what this bill would do if it becomes law, because the details matter here. Bill C-261 was introduced in the House of Commons on February 9, 2026, by Bloc Québécois Member of Parliament Claude de Bellefeuille, who represents the riding of Beauharnois, Saint-Lébery, Soulanges, Huntingdon in Quebec. The bill does two specific things to the Old Age Security Act. First, it extends that same 10% pension increase, the one that currently only applies at age 75, down to everyone starting at age 65. In practical terms, that would mean the payment for the 65 to 74 group would rise from around $743 a month to something close to $817 a month. An increase of roughly $74 every month, or close to $900 a year, landing in the same account seniors already have set up for their regular deposit. Second, the bill raises the amount of employment or self-employment income a senior can earn before it starts reducing their guaranteed income supplement. Right now that exemption sits at $5,000 a year. Under this bill, it would rise to $6,500, and on top of that, half of the next $13,000 earned would still be partly protected from clawback. That second piece matters just as much as the pension increase itself, because it means a senior who wants to keep working a few shifts a week, whether out of necessity or simply to stay active, would be able to keep more of what they earn without watching their guaranteed income supplement quietly shrink behind the scenes. Now here is the part where I need to be completely honest with you, because there is a lot of excitement online right now suggesting this money is already coming, and that is not accurate yet. This is a private member's bill, which is a very different thing from a government bill, and that distinction matters enormously in how Parliament actually works. Private members' bills do not get the same guaranteed debate time or cabinet backing that government legislation gets. They rely on drawing a decent spot in something called the order of precedence, and they can sit for months waiting for their turn just to be debated, let alone voted on. As of right now, Bill C-261 has cleared first reading. It was placed on the order of precedence back in March, and it has been debated at second reading multiple times since then, most recently in early June. But it has not yet passed second reading, it has not gone to committee, and it is nowhere near royal assent. So if anyone tells you this money is already approved or already on its way to your bank account, that is simply not true yet, and I do not want you making any financial decisions based on a payment that has not been legislated. What makes this moment genuinely different, though, is the history behind it, and this is the part that gives me real reason for cautious optimism. This exact proposal is not new. It is actually the second attempt at this fix. The first version of this idea was Bill C-319 introduced in the previous parliament, and it actually made real progress, working its way through several stages, gathering support, getting real debate time on the floor of the House of Commons. Then, in early 2025, Parliament was dissolved before that bill could reach a final vote, and years of work simply died on the order paper, as private members' bills so often do when an election gets called at the wrong moment. Bill C-261 is that same idea, brought back from the dead by the same push, in a new session, with the same two changes, the pension boost and the higher work exemption. The fact that it survived long enough the first time to nearly cross the finish line tells you this has real support sitting behind it in the House, not just from one party, but across party lines, because seniors living on a fixed income exist in every single riding in this country, from downtown Toronto to rural Saskatchewan to small towns in the Maritimes. So while I cannot promise you this becomes law, and I never want to promise you something Parliament has not yet delivered, I can tell you that this idea has already proven it can survive most of the legislative journey once, and it is now making that same journey a second time with a head start built from everything that came before it. Let me walk you through why this actually matters in real dollars, because it is easy for these numbers to feel abstract until you sit with them for a second. Take a senior living alone on a fixed income, receiving the current 65 to 74 rate of old age security along with a partial guaranteed income supplement. An extra $74 a month does not sound like a headline number on its own, but stretch it across a full year and it becomes close to $900, money that could cover 2 or 3 months of groceries, or a chunk of a winter heating bill, or simply a bit of breathing room that was not there before. Now add the second piece, the higher work exemption. Picture a 68-year-old former retail worker named Denise, who picks up part-time shifts at a local pharmacy partly because she enjoys getting out of the house and partly because every extra dollar helps cover her prescriptions. Under the current rules, once she earns past $5,000 a year, every additional dollar she brings home starts quietly shaving down her guaranteed income supplement, which makes working extra shifts feel almost pointless past a certain point. Under Bill C-261 that threshold moves to $6,500, and even beyond that point, half of the next $13,000 she earns stays protected. For someone like Denise, that is the difference between working seem worthwhile and working feeling like it barely helps at all. So here is what I actually want you to do with this information right now, while the bill still sits in the House. First, do not act as though this has already passed, because it has not, and no legitimate source will tell you otherwise. Second, keep watching this space, because the moment this bill reaches a vote at second reading, that vote itself will tell us an enormous amount about whether it survives all the way to royal assent this time. Third, if you are a senior in this 65 to 74 age bracket, or if you have a parent or grandparent who is, this is exactly the kind of legislation worth mentioning to your own member of parliament, because private members' bills that build visible public support tend to get prioritized faster than ones that quietly sit forgotten near the bottom of the order paper. A short email or a phone call to a constituency office costs you 5 minutes and genuinely does add to the pressure that keeps a bill like this moving instead of stalling the way its predecessor eventually did. And fourth, keep checking your own numbers through your My Service Canada account, because your old age security and guaranteed income supplement amounts are already adjusted every quarter for inflation regardless of what happens with this bill, so it is worth knowing your current baseline before any future increase gets layered on top of it. So here is the complete picture as it actually stands today. Bill C-261 was introduced in February of 2026 to close a two-tier gap in old age security that pays seniors differently purely based on whether they are above or below age 75, and to let low-income seniors keep more of what they earn before their guaranteed income supplement gets clawed back. It survived a nearly identical attempt in the previous parliament that came close before dying when an election was called, and it is now working through second reading debate again, with real cross-party attention on it. It has not passed yet, and nobody should treat the extra money as guaranteed until it does, but the fact that this exact idea has already proven it can travel this far once gives it a real fighting chance of finishing the journey this time. If this is the first time you are hearing any of this, that alone tells you something about how quietly these bills move through Parliament until the moment they either become law or quietly disappear. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the moment this bill either passes or stalls, because I will be tracking it closely and bringing you the update the day it happens. And if you know a senior living on a fixed income who has never heard of Bill C-261, send them this video, because understanding what is actually moving through Parliament right now is the first step toward making sure it does not die quietly the way it did last time.